actually even more excited that you're going to be back in Toronto. So, October
Yeah.
30th, you got a show at Danforth Music Hall.
Yeah, I'm really
Um,
excited.
yeah, so I know this is a special experience for moviegoers. They're going to get a chance to actually see Whiplash, the amazing Whiplash, directed by Damien Chazelle. You scored it live with a jazz band in person, live in concert at Danforth Music Hall. It's November 30th. You're doing two dates around Toronto, right? You're also doing Kitchener a couple nights after.
Exactly. The next day, Kitchener,
Yeah. Well, tell us about like some of your memories of and experiences of
or
Toronto. I know you've come here.
2 days later, one either the next day or 2 days later. Yeah, Toronto and Kitchener. I'm very
Yeah.
excited to come to Canada. I've never done a concert in Canada.
Right.
Um, I've been to the Toronto Film Festival,
Mhm.
International Film Festival, but I've never performed there or worked with the musicians there. So I'm really excited to come.
So what can the guests expect of the experience? I mean, obviously we love the film. It's we can't forget a film that epic. What can we expect with this experience that you're bringing at Danforth Music Hall?
Well, we get to see the whole movie, and all the music is live performed
Hmm.
along with the movie. So it's a movie, it's a concert, and you can kind of watch the movie, you can look at the musicians, you can kind of look either place, and both are very exciting. The music is very exciting for us to play, and I think for the audience to see, because we have to keep it perfectly in sync with the movie, which is
Hmm.
really hard to do. It's kind of a high wire act,
Yes.
and the drummer has to stay in sync. Of course, that movie has these incredible drum solos. So he's got to sort of, watch, and we have these special sort of tools that are go in our ears and our video screens that help us sort of stay in sync. It's really kind of a magic trick how we're able to do all that music along with the movie.
Right.
Um, it's thrilling. It's a little nerve-wracking for me to keep it all together, but I'm very excited to do it.
Super stoked. What are some of the challenges? Obviously, spoken about the syncing, but I mean, like you're used to working with 90-piece orchestras in the studio,
Yeah.
and obviously you're more, your experience more lends to be the studio work. Now, this is your chance to be on stage conducting. Like, what are some of the big challenges of bringing this to a live experience?
Well, when you do these live shows, you have to adapt the music. So that's always part of it. That's a big part of it.
Mhm.
Um, Something like I've done La La Land before, and that took a lot of work to sort of create music, because when you record in the studio, you record everything separately. Everything is record as little standalone pieces. You record every cue separately, and a lot of times you record just the sections of the cue separately. But when you do it live, you have to adapt the music so that it all flows together and it can be performed all the way straight through. So that took a lot of work. Whiplash had actually new challenges, which is that the score, there's of course the jazz and the drum solos and all of that, but there's also the underscore of Whiplash, meaning the kind of tense mood music and the tense almost the movie's almost a thriller or almost like a horror movie in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of like tension music, a lot of score cues that are doing that. And to make those cues, 9 years ago or 8 years ago when we did that movie, I did a lot of manipulation of the instruments. I did a lot of like slowing down of trombones and saxes and detuning and pitch shifting. I did a lot of electronic things
Mhm.
basically, like
Mhm.
in the computer, in the with production. But then to create a live version, you have to figure how are we going to do all of that with 18 live musicians on a stage.
Right.
So it's taken a lot of work to figure out how to arrange all of that music that was very electronic originally for your big band. So it's,
Mhm.
saxes, trumpets, trombones, and um, and how to stay faithful to what the intention was, but also make it work and make it, concert pieces that'll work in and amongst the jazz. So that was a big challenge as well.
Amazing. So I appreciate the detail. It's so cool hearing you just talk
Yeah.
about all the
Yeah.
minutiae.
There's
Um,
also a little bit of new music, by the way. There's an on track, which
yes.
often for these shows, halfway through the movie, there's an intermission. The audience gets to go to the bathroom, get a drink, and then when you come back into the theater, there's usually a piece called an entr'acte. I think it's like a French word. I guess you guys would know. It's
Mhm.
it's the music that it like carries you back into the movie, from intermission back into the movie.
Right.
So I wrote a new piece that's like I don't know, a little over a minute or something, that's very much in the vein of other pieces in Whiplash, but it's a brand new piece,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, it just takes us back from intermission into the movie.
I love that. I can't wait to hear it. Even though it's only a minute, I'm still excited. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe walk us through your process when you're scoring with you're working with Damien. Like, what does that look like normally? Just high level, like you see, you have to, have everything in front of you, in front of the screen before you're scoring. I'm guessing, or do you have the ideas sort of laid out before you're actually seeing anything?
It depends on the movie. For a
Mm,
movie like Whiplash, a lot of the music had to be recorded before we could shoot the movie, because you have
mhm.
these bands on screen that are performing. So we had to have, you call it
Right.
pre-records. You record it before production, before you shoot. So for a movie like Whiplash, those had to be recorded. But then later there's a process where I have to watch the scenes of the movie to add the, what we typically call the score or the underscore. You have to watch the movie and then respond to it and kind of feel, okay, what is the movie telling us we want? Do we want music in this scene? Do we want, is it sweet? Is it tense? Is it scary? Is it joyous? What is it? So there's
Mhm.
that process too, many months of working with Damien and the picture editor, watching the movie as it takes shape and then putting new music in it. It just
Mhm.
depends movie to movie. The new movie we just finished, Babylon, very much the same thing. The movie's full of music that we had to record before we shot the movie, but
Right.
then there is tons and tons of music that is just score that I had to. So I was working with them for almost a year, basically. I
Mhm.
moved into the offices
Right.
last November, and I actually just moved out last week.
Got
So
it.
pretty much a whole year of working right next to the editing room as the movie's taking shape, putting new music in, just responding to what I'm seeing and feeling.
Amazing. Like you said, you're gonna, after this interview, you're heading back to the studio to work on Babylon, which we're so stoked to see. Like, any indications of what we can expect from the sound of that film? Like, what can we expect to come this December?
I mean, there's so much music. There's over 2 hours of original music in the movie. I've never done this much music. I think La La Land had something around an hour of music.
Yeah.
Whiplash had maybe a little less than that. It's over 2 hours of music we had to do for the movie. And it's I think gonna surprise people, because I think people
Mhm.
are thinking 1920s. I know what 1920s jazz sounds like. It's not 1920s jazz. We made a real point of being more contemporary, more modern, not so
Mhm.
modern that it's like, oh, this is clearly an anachronism. It's going to take people out of the movie.
Right.
But there's a lot of, I was inspired. I didn't listen to any 1920s music really. I was more
Mm,
inspired by like rock and roll and modern dance music, modern EDM,
mm.
stuff that just like gets people moving, dancing. The movie's just full of drugs and like, you know, people who are just partying hard. So it has that just fun, aggressive, four on the floor music
Right.
um, throughout most of the movie.
I can't wait. Something new. I'm excited to see how you stepped up to the challenge. It's going to be amazing, just from what I've seen from the trailer. So that remains,
Yeah,
but I'm sure I'm going to love it.
I'm excited for you to see it.
Fun question. I mean, you're here for Halloween, basically. What's your favorite Halloween film or Halloween score, and favorite Halloween candy? I've got to ask you that too.
Oh, that's a good question. Halloween, hmm, Halloween score. I mean, John Carpenter's theme is pretty
Yes.
iconic. That's as good as it gets. And those movies, that's pretty much as iconic as it gets. Hard not to say that's my favorite. Halloween candy, probably Butterfinger. That's probably what
Oh,
got me most excited when I was a kid, and
so
you're
good.
going around door to door, and you'd get boring stuff, and then you'd get a Butterfinger, and hopefully it was a big Butterfinger. Sometimes they give you the little ones, and then they give you a big one. And those are the houses you knew you wanted to make sure you didn't miss next year.
Yeah, and then you don't want to tell any of the other kids about that because it's like you want that all to yourself. So,
Exactly. You got to come back in a few different costumes, get a second, a third Butterfinger.
amazing. Okay, one parting question. What's one piece of advice you can give? I know you started off, originally aspiring to play piano. You were playing piano up through high school, and then after some realizations, this is taking you to where you are today. What's one piece of advice you can give an aspiring musician?
Mm. keep learning, keep trying to get better. Never think that you're good enough, because you're not. Nobody is. I spend so much time trying to learn new things. And that doesn't mean school. That means like YouTube. I'm on YouTube all the time trying to learn new things, books, anything. There's just so much to learn and so many things to get better at in life in general, but in any craft, like music. So I would say just always try to keep growing and expanding.
Amazing advice. Thank you so much for the chat, Justin. We can't wait to see you live on stage on the 30th at Danforth Music Hall. Everybody get your tickets. It's going to be an exciting night. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. I'm so excited to come to Canada and perform for you all.
Can't wait. Take care, Justin. Thanks for the chat.